Before you hear anything else, I want you to imagine one shocking possibility. What if everything you were taught about manifestation was incomplete? What if the universe has never been ignoring you? You were simply speaking in a language your consciousness wasn't tuned to understand. For centuries, humans searched for mystical secrets, sacred formulas, and spiritual shortcuts. But one man discovered something far more unsettling. We've been trying to manifest with a mind that isn't calibrated for creation. And what he uncovered changes everything. Throughout human history, thousands of people have tried to decipher the secret behind manifestation. Books, teachers, and doctrines promise answers. But what if the error wasn't in the lack of faith, nor in the technique used, but rather in the way human consciousness itself operates? What if the problem wasn't the universe not hearing you, but you transmitting on the wrong frequency? For decades, an engineer and mystic dared to assert something few had the courage to say. All of humanity is trying to create reality with a broken instrument. He discovered that the modern mind vibrates in discord with the quantum field, and that this imbalance is the true reason why so many dream, visualize, and affirm, but almost nothing changes. What he found is not a theory, it's proof. He showed that when body, mind, and consciousness come into harmony, reality literally bends in response. That the field surrounding you is not external, it's a living part of you. And that the power to manifest doesn't depend on asking, but on tuning in. Some doubt it, some prefer to call it coincidence. But the few who understood this discovery noticed something extraordinary. Life begins to respond almost instantly. Doors open, synchronicities multiply, and everything seems to flow as if the universe had finally recognized you. This video isn't about believing, it's about understanding. You're going to meet the man who united science and spirituality and revealed the serious error that prevents you from manifesting everything you desire. And when you finish listening, you may realize that what separated you from the reality you dream of was never outside of you. Itzhak Bentov always moved on the frontier between the invisible and the measurable. While the scientific world saw him as a brilliant inventor, his gaze penetrated through measuring instruments and sought to understand what vibrated behind them, consciousness. There was something in him that wasn't satisfied with easy answers, nor with the division between the spiritual and the physical. He believed that the human mind was a still, unexplored laboratory and that the true experiments happened within it. In his years of research, Bentov began to notice a curious pattern. People tried to shape reality with positive thoughts, prayers, and visualizations, but the results varied. Some achieved almost miraculous results while others remained trapped in the same cycle of frustration and doubt. What differentiated them? This question became the epicenter of his quest. He observed that most manifestation methods were like playing an out-of-tune instrument. People used the conscious mind, believing that thinking intensely was enough to move the gears of the universe, but what he found was much deeper. A flaw in tuning, a subtle error in the frequency of human consciousness. It wasn't lack of faith. It was a problem of vibrational calibration. During his studies on brain function, Bentov realized that ordinary thought operates like a limited receiver. When someone tries to manifest something using only the intellect, it's like trying to pick up an FM radio station with an AM device. The waves simply don't match. This disharmony between body and mind prevents the energy of desire from reaching the matrix that sustains reality. Combining his engineering background and his experiences with altered states of consciousness, he began to map the connections between the human energy field and quantum phenomena. He discovered that each intention, however small it may seem, is a pulse of information that needs a clear channel to propagate. The human body is that channel. But when the mind is in conflict or the nervous system operates under constant tension, the signal becomes distorted. Bentov reached a bold conclusion. Manifestation doesn't fail due to lack of belief. But because modern consciousness has fragmented, we try to create reality with a divided instrument. Thought separated from sensation, desire separated from body. This rupture generates noise, and the universe responds to this noise with confused, incoherent result. This discovery led him to a turning point. He began to investigate how this vibrational error installs itself in us, and how the physical body, often ignored in spiritual practices, plays an essential role in conscious creation. What he discovered next would completely change the way of understanding the manifestation process, revealing that the blockage is not outside but within the very vibrational structure of the human being. From his observations, Bentov began to decipher the invisible structure of this error that prevents human consciousness from fully manifesting. He realized that body and mind operate like two halves of an electrical circuit, and that this circuit in most people is interrupted. The flow that should move intention to the quantum field is constantly blocked by internal noise, a kind of vibrational interference born from the disconnection between the physical and energetic bodies. When a human being desires something, their mind creates an electrical pattern, an impulse that tries to traverse the entire nervous system. This impulse carries the information of desire, the seed of creation. But along the way, it encounters fields of tension, fears, conflicting thoughts, and automatic body responses that distort the signal. It's the same as trying to send a message through a corroded wire. The content fragments before reaching its destination. Bentov understood that human nature lives almost all the time in a state of survival. Even in silence, the nervous system vibrates on alert. The body interprets the environment as a potential threat, and this constant vigilance generates an irregular electromagnetic field. When this noise dominates, the brain loses its capacity for coherence, and manifestation, which depends on this harmony, simply disintegrates. In his experiments, Bentov demonstrated that the cerebral hemispheres need to operate like a tuned choir. When the rational and intuitive sides are in discord, creative energy disperses. The right mind dreams, but the left doubts. The heart feels, but the body fears. This disharmony creates what he called a vibrational blockage, a state in which the human being tries to project a desire while simultaneously emitting its opposite. The result is a fragmented mental field, background noise that prevents the pure transmission of intention. Manifestation doesn't fail because the universe doesn't respond. It fails because the message we send is contradictory. It's like trying to light a bulb with inverted wires. The energy is there, but it can't find the path. Bentov began to realize that the solution wasn't just in mental techniques, but in the reintegration of the entire human system. It was necessary to harmonize brain rhythms, heartbeat, breathing, and even the movement of the fluid that flows through the spine. The body needed to stop being the obstacle to become the conductor of intention. This perception led him to an even more intriguing discovery. He realized that the human brain, when it enters into perfect resonance, transforms into a transmitter capable of altering the very fabric of reality. But to achieve this state, body and mind needed to vibrate as a single instrument. It was from this realization that Bentov began to decipher the secret of brain resonance, the next step in his journey of revelations. Bentov began to observe the brain with the same fascination with which a physicist observes the cosmos. For him, the human mind was a microcosm of the universe, a vibratory system that mirrors the same laws of resonance and harmony that govern galaxies. In his studies, he realized that the brain doesn't just process information. It vibrates, pulses, and creates waves that travel throughout the entire body, returning afterward to the point of origin. These waves form a closed circuit, a feedback cycle between mind, body, and energy field. He discovered that each thought possesses a specific vibrational signature. When a person thinks of something with clarity and sincere emotion, the brain emits a coherent wave. This wave travels through the nervous system, interacts with the heart, and returns strengthened, creating a stable energy circuit. But when thought carries fear, doubt, or contradiction, this circuit breaks and the vibration fragments before completing the cycle. Most people live in this fragmented state. They affirm what they desire, but their feelings emit the opposite. When someone says, "I am worthy," but feels the contrary in their body, two frequencies clash. One tries to move forward, the other pulls backward. The result is an incoherent mental field, a thought form that dissolves before influencing reality. Bentov realized that the human brain can achieve states of coherence so precise that its waves align like a perfect choir. In this state, the cerebral hemispheres, rational and intuitive, vibrate in synchrony. The heart adjusts to the same rhythm and the entire body becomes a living antenna pulsing in unison. This point of equilibrium he called the state of coherence. In the state of coherence, each cell of the body responds to intention as if it were part of the same thought. Energy flows without resistance. The surrounding field organizes itself and reality begins to respond. Bentov saw this phenomenon as a bridge between consciousness and the quantum field. A moment when the human being stops merely observing the universe and begins to interact with it on a vibrational level. He understood that when the mind reaches this attunement, thought is no longer limited to the brain. It projects beyond the body like a harmonic wave that propagates through the fabric of space. It's at this point that true manifestation happens not by force of will, but by resonance. Reality is not forced to change. It naturally reorganizes itself around the coherent frequency of the being. This discovery led Bentov to explore an even bolder territory. If the brain can generate coherence through vibration, perhaps the entire body can be used as a tuning instrument. And it was on this path that he developed an unusual practice, a method that united movement, breathing, and consciousness to align the nervous system with the quantum field. This method would become one of the most intriguing keys of his research, the technique of microcosmic movement. After understanding that manifestation depended on a state of vibrational coherence, the researcher sought a practical means to achieve it. He knew that the mind alone rarely stabilizes. Thoughts are unstable. They vary with mood, with environment, with the energy of the moment. The body, however, is the pillar of human experience. If the mind is the field, the body is the antenna. It was then that he began to study the subtle movements that occur within the human body, almost imperceptible oscillations, but fundamental for energetic balance. During his observations, he noticed that the body performs spontaneous microbalances, especially when in a deep state of relaxation. These movements, although gentle, create pressure waves in the fluid that surrounds the brain and flows through the spine. He realized that these waves, when stimulated at a natural rhythm between 6 and 7 Hz, produce a remarkable effect. The nervous system enters into resonance. It's as if the entire organism begins to vibrate in unison. This discovery gave rise to what he called microcosmic movement, a rhythmic, almost meditative sway capable of aligning body, mind, and energy into a single frequency. When this pulsation is established, the brain ventricles, small cavities inside the brain, begin to pulse in an orderly fashion, propelling the cerebral spinal fluid in harmonic wave. These waves descend through the spine, stimulating each nerve center along the body's axis. In these regions, known in ancient traditions as chakras, specific reactions occur. The body awakens, the field organizes itself, and consciousness expands. He understood that these centers are not just symbolic concepts. They are interface points between the nervous system and the subtle field that surrounds the human being. By activating them in sequence, energy travels through the body like a continuous electrical current. closing the circuit that unites thought, emotion, and matter. In this state, desire ceases to be merely a mental concept. It transforms into bodily vibration, into the physical experience of intention. Manifestation happens not because someone asks the universe, but because the entire human system becomes the very channel of creation. The individual stops trying to convince reality and begins to resonate with it. What began as a simple scientific observation transformed into a method of profound reconnection. This technique, when practiced with awareness and rhythm, leads the mind to expanded states of perception and opens the portal to an even vaster understanding that the universe does not respond to us, it reflects us. It was from this perception that the next revelation emerged, one that would unite physics, consciousness, and the very fabric of reality in a single holographic field. With body and mind operating in coherence, a new horizon revealed itself. The discovery that each cell vibrates in response to thought led to the understanding of something even grander. Human consciousness is part of a larger field, a vast fabric of information that contains all possibilities of existence. The universe is not a machine that responds to requests, but a living hologram where each part contains the totality of the whole. In this understanding, the human mind ceases to be a separate observer and becomes an active fragment of the universe itself. What we call reality is not something that happens outside of us, but a vibrational projection that originates from within and manifests externally. Each thought, emotion, and sensation contributes to shaping this hologram, as if consciousness emitted interference patterns that define the texture of experience. When the internal frequency is in disorder, the hologram fragment life becomes confusing, paths seem contradictory, and opportunities slip away. But when coherence is achieved, when mind, heart, and body vibrate as a single system, the hologram reorganizes itself, probabilities begin to align, and what once seemed like chance begins to reveal a precise pattern. This is the true meaning of synchronicities, moments when the holographic field responds to inner harmony. These are not magical coincidences, but echoes of a frequency that has adjusted to the rhythm of the universe. Consciousness, upon reaching a certain level of coherence, doesn't attract something from outside. It materializes what was already present in potential dormant in the quantum fabric of reality. Common perception tries to control life. Force results define the path. But the holographic field doesn't respond to force. It responds to frequency. It behaves like a multidimensional mirror that reflects the internal state of the observer. When the human being vibrates fear, the mirror returns fear. When it vibrates harmony, the mirror reflects harmony. In this sense, manifesting is not conquering, it's tuning in. This vision completely alters the way of understanding conscious creation. The universe is not a static scenario. It's a dynamic organism sensitive to the vibration of the consciousness that inhabits it. Each thought propagates like a wave, and these waves interfere with each other, forming the patterns we perceive as life. By changing the internal pattern, the external pattern inevitably reconfigures itself. This realization led the scholar to formulate a bold idea. If reality is a hologram, then the human being is the projector itself. And like any projection, the external image only changes when the light that emits it is adjusted. This understanding paved the way for a practical method, a way to recalibrate consciousness, correcting internal noise and restoring perfect attunement with the universal field. The understanding that the human being is the projector of their own reality brought a new responsibility: learning to adjust one's own frequency. This wasn't about symbolic mysticism, but about engineering of consciousness. The body is the instrument. The mind is the operator, and the quantum field is the medium through which information propagates. The secret lies in aligning these three elements until they vibrate as a single system. The first step is internal silence. Mental noise is the great saboteur of manifestation. Accelerated thoughts produce incoherent brainwaves, preventing the vibrational clarity necessary to interact with the field. Through slow and measured breathing, brain frequency naturally descends to alpha and theta states, ranges where the conscious mind becomes permeable and the subconscious takes command. At this point, the body leaves survival mode and enters a state of receptivity. With noise reduced, the second step is to induce physical resonance. Small rhythmic movements, soft sounds, or vocal vibrations are capable of synchronizing the body with the same frequency pattern as the field. Each vibration echoes through the tissues, reorganizing the nervous system. At this moment, thought ceases to be a mental abstraction and transforms into living energy distributed through every cell. The third step is the most subtle and also the most powerful. Instead of visualizing desire as something distant, it's necessary to feel it as part of one's own body. The error lies in thinking that manifestation brings something from outside to inside. What actually happens is the opposite. Everything already exists in the holographic field. What changes is the degree of vibrational density that allows a possibility to become physical. When the human being feels with total presence that they already are what they desire, the field responds instantly. In this process, there is no effort. Coherence is not born from force but from harmony. When the body vibrates with the same pattern as the intention, the universal field reorganizes itself to reflect this new configuration. The individual ceases to be a spiritual beggar and becomes a conscious co-creator. Reality ceases to be a random sequence of events and becomes a symphony conducted by inner vibration. The researcher used to say that we are living antennas tuned between the visible and the invisible. And like every antenna, we need fine-tuning to capture the correct signal. This adjustment is the true purpose of the spiritual path. Not to escape the world, but to understand that the world is the mirror of our frequency. The protocol of consciousness recalibration is not just a technique. It's a reminder that consciousness, when in harmony, is capable of reshaping the universe itself. If everything you just heard makes sense, perhaps something inside you has already begun to move. This is the first proof that recalibration is beginning. When consciousness recognizes truth, the body responds and vibration changes. The question now is no longer does it work, but what are you going to do with this? You can continue manifesting the same way using only thought, trying to convince the universe with words. Or you can become a conscious co-creator, tuning your frequency with the field that surrounds you. Everything you desire is already available, waiting for you to align enough so that reality recognizes you. Breathe. Silence the noise. Feel your body pulse in harmony. The universe doesn't communicate through words, but through vibration. What you're emitting now is what's creating your tomorrow. So ask yourself, what is the frequency you want to sustain from today forward? If this content touched you, awakened you, or made you see manifestation with new eyes, leave in the comments what resonated most with you. I want to know which part of this knowledge changed your way of seeing the world. And remember, the learning doesn't end here. Subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and continue with me on this journey of consciousness expansion. There is still much to be revealed about the power that dwells within because now you know the truth. Manifestation isn't magic, it's mechanics. It's the moment your mind, your body, and your field vibrate so coherently that reality has no choice but to shift. And here's the part most people never hear. You are not waiting for the universe. The universe is waiting for you. Waiting for you to silence the noise. Waiting for you to tune your internal frequency. Waiting for you to finally step out of survival mode and step into creation mode. Every desire you hold already exists in the holographic field. Every possibility is already imprinted in the quantum fabric of your reality. The only difference between the life you live and the life you dream of is the frequency you choose to sustain. So right now, take a breath, feel your body. Feel the vibration shifting inside you. That subtle sensation is not imagination, it's coherence beginning. It's alignment awakening.